This analysis is based on the source material from Human Rewish EP2. My objective here is to extract the core operating logic behind a full system reboot, one that follows a catastrophic failure. We're going to examine what it really takes to start over from ground zero. The first mate, on station. I'm providing an intelligence digest of Human Rewish EP2. My function is to act as an objective filter to extract the critical intelligence for high-pressure professionals. This isn't just a story. This is a protocol.
All right, the subject, system reboot protocol following total failure. The objective is to extract the core operating logic. So, let's begin the analysis. First up, prequel, the failure loop. We're conducting an analysis of the old operating system. To understand the new protocol, we have to analyze the old logic that caused the failure in the first place. This is about the system that was running before the crash. Okay, so the core malfunction of the old system is identified as violent overclocking. Now, what is that? It's the chronic use of willpower to override the body's own signals, forcing it to operate way beyond its intended capacity. You know the feeling, right? Pushing through when you're running on empty. The source describes this as nothing less than an internal war. And this gets to the heart of the old logic. A direct quote from the source says, "My effort was a trap." Think about that. The very thing that was supposed to be the solution, more effort, more willpower, was actually the core problem. It was a feedback loop, accelerating the system directly towards a total meltdown. So let's compare the logic side by side. The old logic was simple. Willpower is greater than the body. It was a command and control system, which, as we've seen, created an internal war. But the new logic? It's a total inversion. Body is greater than willpower. It's a partnership. The role of consciousness shifts from command and control to observe and respond. A fundamental rewrite of the system. Section 2. Catalyst. System meltdown. We're doing a forced shutdown event analysis. So, what triggered this shift? A catastrophic failure. The ICU hospitalization wasn't just some random event. No, it was the predictable, logical conclusion of the old operating system. Let's dig into the mechanics of that shutdown. So, the analysis has to start here. What exactly triggered the system meltdown? What was the mechanical cause? It all boils down to a conflict over one single shared resource. And that resource is defined as the energy pool. You can think of it like this. It's a single power source, a shared battery. And that battery has to power everything. Willpower co-opts it for its directives, meeting deadlines, pushing projects. But the body also needs that same energy pool for its own essential functions, things like system repairs and critical alerts. And this is the sequence that leads to the crash. Step 1. Willpower commandeers energy from that shared pool. Pretty simple. Step 2. Because that energy is diverted, the repair and alert systems get depowered. All the warning lights go out, and that's the silent trap. So, step 3, to protect the core hardware from permanent damage, the body itself initiates a forced meltdown. It's a protective measure. All right, section 3, new protocol, body-led reboot. Now we're getting into the post-failure recovery and operations. After the system crash, a totally new operating procedure was mission critical. The central concept here is called the handover. This is a strategic transfer of command. Consciousness, which used to see itself as the captain, is demoted. It becomes the first mate, and its new task? To observe and respond to the body, which is now recognized as the true commander, the old captain. This entire partnership is codified in a new slogan, "My body is my buddy." It's simple, but it marks the official end of that internal war. This is the foundation of the new protocol. So, with the new protocol in place, the first order of business was an initial damage assessment. It's a very depersonalized objective report. For the head and neck component, skewed shape, chronic muscle tension. For the torso, uneven shoulders, scoliosis, pelvic shift. And for the limbs, significant muscle atrophy, poor joint function. This wasn't about emotion. It was about establishing a baseline. From that assessment, a new 3-step action guide was created. First step, relax. That means cease all interference and forceful commands. Just stop. Step 2, supplement resources. The mission here is just to replenish the energy pool through basic functions, nothing complex. And finally, step 3, respond to signals. The new job is to observe the old captain's signals and simply respond as you wish. Okay, final section, operating logic, ancient wisdom. This is about the core principles of the new system.
It's really important to get this. These steps we just went over, they aren't random. They are all governed by a very specific and deep logical framework.
And that entire protocol is governed by one logical framework. It's this: things have roots and branches. Simple, right? But this one idea dictates the priority of every single action under the new system. So here's how that principle breaks down into core directives. First, you have root versus branch. The body's fundamental needs, that's the root. Willpower's desires, that's the branch. The root always comes first. Then you have end versus beginning. A restored physical form is the end state, but you have to operate from the beginning, which is the current damaged state. And lastly, first versus next. The body's signals always come first. The first mate's cooperative response is always next. This logic sets the entire sequence of operations. And the whole framework is summarized by this final statement: then is near the way. What does that mean in practical terms? It means once the logic is right, the mechanism is established, the outcome becomes almost inevitable once the core thinking is correct.
So, what's the ultimate takeaway? The mission shifts entirely. It's no longer about command, it's about observation. And that leads to the second key slogan from the source. Relax, the body already knows.
So this leaves us with one final question to consider. With this new protocol established, what is the system's true potential? Not just for recovery, but for future optimization.
As you wish.
You can access the full video source via the link in the top left anchor and also in the description. First Mate, signing off.